This is Baruch Fleischman. It's the Tikkun Elevator Kolel, and this is Parshat Pinchas in the Zohar. And we're reading from the Pirush, Rohut, the running commentary of Rabbi Daniel Frisch. So we're talking about Rosh Hashanah, and today is Erev Rosh, or the beginning of Erev Rosh Hashanah. I guess today would be the day before, but we're really very, very close to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the day of Din, and as we've been learning in many places, that it's 2 days of Dinim. One is a very, very severe Din, where we're standing before Hashem. Perhaps our life will not extend beyond the year. I mean, this is what's going on, and He is the controlling master of all things. Now, the Torah is really concerned about the behavior of people particularly, and He's going to come right out and say it, the sexual behavior of man and woman. And He's really going to talk about what happens, what really destroys the world really starts right there. So here He's going to have a sort of run-up to a vort on Rosh Hashanah, using the organs of the human body, so as a metaphor. So it's Kasiv Makom Echod, so it's written in one place. I'm in the wrong place. Kasiv the Karni Or, there we are. The Karni Or wrote, Kimasha Bedam Laholon, what we're going to have this comparison later on. The Yavarim Abinim Yim Shaba'adam, in the inner organs of a man. Al Madregas, Al Yonos, and how we're going to see them corresponding to the origin of the life force of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and how they're affected. Bein shel Kedusha or Bein shel Hasitra Achra, whether we're talking about the force here that's coming down in the way of Kedusha, but there's an opposite force, which is the force of the other side, the Sitra Achra. Daki came hum mamish bedugma achas. So there you can really see it's really a complete comparison. Hamiznagos evaria adam, where you could see the functioning of the limbs of a person. He doesn't mean limbs, he means the organs of a person. Velan hagos olam ha'elyon, in the same way that the world works. The benemius of the world, the origin of it all, the fount from which everything comes. Ki adam hu olam katan, because a human being is like a small universe. V'hakol nichlol ba'adam, everything that happens in the penemius of the world is way beyond physicality, so also incorporated in us. Hein kedusha v'hein sitra achra, whether you're talking whichever you are talking about. So now we're going to take a look. I think that this is. I'm going to read the Maltuk Midrash this time with the Zohar. Back print is, of course, the Zohar. Kasiv Makom Echod, it writes like this: HaYuseris min HaKaved is, it's translated usually as the lobe of the liver in English. Min HaKaved, which is the liver. Uksiv V'makom Acher, but in other places is Ves HaYuseris Al HaKaved. In other places it says it's above the kaved, it's above the liver. What does this mean? How does this have to do with getting the Shefa and coming to the day of Rosh Hashanah, the day of Din? Ma ha'hevdel b'neihem, what's the difference? In Mefarish ki Yoseris min ha'kaved, it says that phrase, Hainu da eshes zenunim da azlav anafka min ha'kaved. This min comes from the concept of the force of the other side, which is feminine. And the translation is Zo Eshes Zenunim Shehi. Now I pronounce this Plonis. I don't say her name. This is because the name itself is a tremendously seductive. I get caught into that. It's very, very easy for us to plug into that. He says Zo Eshes Zenunim Shehu the Polonis. Haholechas Veyotzes Mefareshes Minakaved Ju Hasamach Mem. And she travels. She goes out. Separates herself from the liver itself, which is liver itself is the Samach Men, that is the Satan himself, the great antagonist. So let's go on. So he says la'asta. Let's go back to the parenthesis and look at it. He writes regards to this female force, which I'm calling the Polonis. Kach l'cha eish zenunim, a woman of harlotry, and we have it all around us now. La'asta b'nei alma, la'asta necha'alaykum. Lahatos, what does she do in the world? He's saying that if you're a man and you're actually being seduced by extraneous thoughts, let's say what they call them here, hurim roim, the bad thoughts about women, you're constantly looking at women and thinking about women and going through this. He wants to say this is a spirit. It's a spirit that comes lahatos v'lepatos, that b'nei adam, that is really coming to seduce and cause a man to stray. So that what happens is that when this force causes you to get involved in the wrong type of sexual endeavors, she then turns around. Lahastin, hasan, the word satan means to accuse. L'ktareg, 2 words for and criticize, aleichem, the people that she seduced, because you did this. V'shav kas l'kurach de me'eved zenunim. Vozeves as bailach zohar, she leaves her husband, who is the male force. V'holeches la'asa zenunim, and she goes out to commit harlotry. We know that we have strip clubs, and it's going unbelievable what we have everywhere all around us. This is around us all the time. That is to seduce other people to get into znus, forbidden sexual behaviors, and to destroy these people. Ratzon lomar, so it means to say l'chavbiam l'day tekmikra lila. So he says simply, we're not talking about a person who's going to the strip clubs, chas v'shalom. We're talking about a person who has a nocturnal emission. Because the nocturnal emission itself is a spirit that enters into the person, that gets in some way, perhaps by what the person was thinking during the day, I don't know, but it comes into a person, and this is an ultimate goal to the wasting of seed. L'oradam l'taivas niyuf, in order to get them into the concept of niyuf, of adultery, Rahman al-Thon. And again, for this reason, the Cain kasav pam, so therefore it's written one time. Hayuseris minakavet. So it's more than the kaved. What is it? From the kaved. Ki nifredis minakavet, because she goes out on her own. Kadei lalechas levada. So she goes by herself. There's a lot implied in this, if you ask me. So let's read the words out. Kadei lelechas levada de patos b'nei adam acharecha, in order to seduce people to follow after her. So she seduces people into a spirit that comes into a person, and suddenly the person finds himself in a neof situation where he feels like he's having sex with something. It's not having sex with anything. It becomes what a man calls a nocturnal emission. Sperm comes out. Now the Torah really thinks that this is a really bad situation. And this is why marriage is so important in the Torah. We're living in an era of divorce where there are so many broken families. Let's go on. So there was one thing I wanted to mention. It is that there is a basic liver. The liver, he says, is the kaved. He says and he's going to talk about it now, is the most difficult part. But then there's a part that's yoser min, that comes out from that and goes on its own. It's like a harlot and a pimp. So basically the pimp's not doing the work, the harlot is. She goes by herself. She's out on the street alone. It's a dangerous line of work. and she pulls people in. But from where she comes from, though, is from the Samach Mem. Ladies, you can say other things about it. This is a real nice limud. Let's see what else they say. So now we're going on the Mashakasi Yoseras al Hakovet. So it's more on top of, or it sounds like it's the lobe on top of the liver. Haide Basa the Abda Neufa. Achar Sha'as Saniyuv. So after she's caused adultery to take place in the world, Dahainu. Achar Shehachtia Libnei Adan Lizno, says she has now caused a sin to take place, to go to the place of ill repute, to go to the strip club, to look at things you're not supposed to look at, get yourself all worked up. So she collects all the souls of all the people that she has seduced. She then starts moving up. She moves up higher, mis'ala, and goes higher. I don't know if she's talking about the person. L'umas ha'nukva the kedusha she'ola the kiyos Atara's Bible. So we're going to find out what that means. Let me see if we can find out what this means. Let me go back and read it again. So she, I'm seeing the place here. So he said, where is it? That she achieved with her seductions. Now, so the olav, what does he mean? So he goes up onto him. She's up on top. I don't know. She means the kaved. She means what of the person that did this? The kedusha she'ola the kiyos Atara's Bible, which is different than the female force of kedusha, which becomes a crown on top of the head of her husband. So he says, Kain hu ola lektarag al bnei Adam. So this is what it means. Love means now she stands over the person. Instead of being a crown, a shining crown, she's the force of criticism, strict criticism, antagonizing criticism. Because he's guilty. She's the one that caused it. So he says, Metzach Isha Zona, that is the forehead, the bald head of the Isha Zona, Tahainu, is Gavras al Baila. It overcomes her husband, the Ihu Kaved, which is the liver. Now he's Gavras, so we'll see what the translate is. Because Damara. So he says he misgaveres al Baila, she becomes greater than her husband, which is the samach mem, which we are saying is also known as the kaved, the liver. Nigra kaved, because shall ma'ara, with the anger of liver bile. On her it is said, Eshes bedanim b'ka'as, danim is lashon din, a criticizing woman, and anger. Because she starts fighting with her husband, and then she starts overcoming him. That she actually becomes more powerful and controlling of her husband, who is the Samach Mem himself. So therefore it says about that, Metzach Isha Zona Shalta al HaKaved. It has control over the liver. Hoshalechtes al HaKaved. What does al mean? On top of the liver. Shuhu HaSamach Mem. The liver is the Samach Mem. He Ashes Bedanim V'kaz, because she is the wife of judgment. She is the ultimate accuser. V'kas, and brings tremendous anger. So therefore it's even worse than the liver itself. Now it says because of Arizal and the Eitz Chaim, he says Shal Samach Mem Ein Be'eser Spheros. Now this is an interesting idea. Now he apparently, I've been through the Eitz Chaim, I don't remember this. So there's a lot I don't remember. Shal Samach Mem Ein Be'eser Spheros. The Samach Mem does not have 10 spheros. He says Spheros the Kalim. Shalo Ella Shisha Oros. He only has 6 lights. So the lights is interesting. He says that the lights need to go into a keli in order to be operant. So he is like a light, but the light's not operant. Is that what it's right? And let me see if I'm right. But on the other hand, the Polonis, the female aspect, Yeshla Asara Oros B'Yud Spheros, the Kalim Shalom. She is complete in 10 spheros. In other words, he's maybe like a light, he's an inspiration. But the actual actor, the one that has the power to pull people, men, away from their families and their homes and their aspirations, is her. Nikras Yoseris ala Kavod, and that's the reason why she's called to be greater than the liver. The Shalta Ihu al Dechura delay, because she is able to have control over her male. The Fisha Yeshlo Yisra Malav Sheyeshlo Asara Oros, because she has the 10 lights, but in Kalim as well. V'hu ein lo rak shisha oros. She has 10 lights, he only has 6. She has Kalim, the Kalim of the vessel that holds the light, that allows it to be transferred to a lower element, like down to us. So here's another way of understanding mina kaved. Behind the mina kaved nafka la'avasha l'kol alma. The fisha mikoich hakaved, because from the power, it's another way of looking at it now. From the power that the liver has, he yotzes, she goes out from that power. He's the source of the energy. Lahara l'kol ha'olam, in order to bring evil into the whole world. Rotzlona lomer shaharosecho v'kochosecho chen b'baylecha samach mem. Her light, her energy comes from the samach mem. V'koach zeh, and from this power, yotzes lahazik the bnei adam. She goes out to hurt people. Lahavim, the day of Mikra Laila, to bring them once again to nocturnal emission. Over le'eved ni'ufim im kola, v'liptosam, to keep inciting them, seducing them. La'asos ni'ufim imakol rachman l'tlan, to really get into the dark side of that sexual physicality, the strip clubs, the porno, whole thing. After this, she goes back to her husband as the samach mem. Together, she brings along with her these evil deeds that were made, that men made, because of the fact that she seduced them. Now remember, this is a spirit. It's built into us. So the struggle that we have is to suppress it. It's part of our nature. Without it, we don't reproduce. But on the other hand, how do you channel this into Kedusha? This is the problem that the Jewish man and woman have to face. Kedei la'alos yachav v'liktarg, so that they can go together. So now they're going to stand on top of the head of the person at Rosh Hashanah, it's really talking about, and start accusing you. So there it says, b'ne'emar ba metzach isha zayna, the forehead of a harlot. Ba'azusa de anfim, with the arrogance of her face, he bo ba'azus panim, she comes to bear herself with a bold face arrogantly. Then ihu ala kavod, then she's greater than the kavod, or she's above the liver. V'oz he al hakavod, ki hi olo, because she goes up above the other, that is the Samach Mem himself. Now here's another way. The Od Masha Kosev Yoseres Mina Koved, so it's greater than from the Koved, is Korea's Mesitra Achra. So she's called from the other side, the force of darkness. He Nikras Kach Mitzad Vatam Achra. So there's another way to look at this. So what is that? Ki Basa the Nafkas the Nafa im Kula. Achasha Yotzes the Noah the Liznosim Akol. Her job is a spirit that should enter into every man and to seduce him to want this. He knows senes labaila. Liba alabo alecha bizman shenisharlo, that she should come and have intercourse with her husband. I'm not sure what this means yet. Bizman shenisharlo, in her spare time. Inami, he says, wait a minute, what does that mean? Inami, he knows senes labaila. Shirayim, that makes better sense. She gives him, that's the idea we had before, the left from the leftovers, or what's left, the booty. And what that is, the left, the overflow of the bounty that she's collected as a result of causing Jewish people, the Avonas Yisrael, to sin. This is what it says in regard to her. Yoseres mina kaved, greater from the kaved. Pirish machmash hashirayim, because of this extra bounty that she gets. It's a result of the overflow of sins. Shenosenes the baila hakaved, she gives that to her husband, who's the liver. So this, in this case, that she's actually the provider in this case, Nikras hi Yoseres. We're getting a really deep idea of the thinking of the Zohar. Now, if you're from an Ashkenaz background like me and you're learning Talmud, that's what you basically do, is learn Halacha and Talmud. You're not going to get into this. You're not going to know it's there. Migo koved v'yoseres the law. Oh, we go down here. Okay, Amar Od, he says furthermore. Ki migo koved, mina koved shu ha-samach mem, so from the koved, which is the samach mem, v'yoseres the law, and that lobe on top of it, v'yoseres shaloshihi, actually is the name plonis, nafkas mara, a bile comes out. Yotzech ha-klipa ha-nikras mara, a klipa, a false image comes out. Maybe it's on a billboard. Maybe it's on the TV. It's all over. Yotzech ha-klipa ha-nikras mara. Mara means bile. V'yihu charbecha demalach ha-mavaz. And what is this bile? It's the sword. V'hi sod ha-charbo. This is the sword of the angel of death. This is who she is. She brings death into the world. And because on this the rabbis say, Shahasatan yored v'noito neshama, that the Satan goes down and he takes a soul. Berushos shenosalo melamala ba'avonis Yisrael. And he says, and how does he do this? How can he take the soul? How can he kill a person? Because Rishus, permission, has been given, though, from up above. And how does he have this permission? Ba'avonis Yisrael, because we've sinned. He's talking about the kind of sins that are the sins that is the most important part. Because a big distinction in Judaism is that we believe in not having sex before marriage and marital fidelity. It's a difficult world, so people have problems. Here he's identifying that it's not just a problem, a psychological problem, it's a spirit that haunts and inhabits human beings, and Jewish human beings. The nafka mina tiping meriran L'kadla b'nei nosha. Sheyotzes min hacherev. So what comes after this sword that she has? Tipos meruach maros. Bitter drops. L'harag bechemes b'nei adam, in order to kill people. Hadohu b'chzid. This is what is written. Zecher shekosef achrisa mara kala'ana. In her end, she's like she becomes bitter, like wormwood. Achris hapitui shal chazayna. After she seduces a person, what does he have? The person who is seduced. He mara kala'ana. She is bitter like wormwood. Samara, and from that bile that's coming all over this as anifatim, and this bile now comes onto the people which have been gotten involved in niyuf acharecho, that follow after her. In other words, we have it all around us. You don't have to go far. Right here on your home screen, you could bring the greatest amount of the force of the Sitra Achra, which is called the Polonis, this female seductive power. V'ihu talya bekovid, v'hamara tluya bekovid, in the bile. It all depends on what's coming out of the liver to begin with. Asher kol marein the musa be talyan, that all of the bitterness, all of the death comes out from this. Kol hachaloyim, all sicknesses. V'chamisas, all different kinds of death. Teluyim b'mara, they all come from this mara. So he's saying a very strong tie, a very powerful message about sexual delusions. He's getting into really the spirit that is out there and the fact that we have to fight it. How do we do that? Best way is learning Torah. That's what we're doing now. V'choyzer of the Inyan Rosh Hashanah. Now all of this that we understand about where we get into trouble is really about Rosh Hashanah. V'amalhu yom, the Rosh Hashanah, the Zohar says, in that day of Rosh Hashanah, v'ozach hayom shel Rosh Hashanah, meshatetach ba'alma, the meknash kol chove alma, hanukva the klipa, that is this polonis. Meshateses, like she is a spirit. That spirit is around and can be aroused. She's the klipa meshatetes ba'olam, la'asas of kol ravonis. And what is she doing while she's circling the world, so to speak? She's gathering up all the sins, shala'olim sha'asach kol hashana, that the whole world did the whole year long. V'hi ma'ala osam, she elevates them the tarag aleichem, in order to start accusing people. This is the day coming up of accusation. And our job as Jews is to sweeten those accusations. It's not to say that we're not wrong. We've made many, many mistakes, but we can pray for forgiveness. We could then call a varim de inan Yisrael inan ba'aku. All is called ha'evarim shehem Yisrael. So he says all the limbs, what we call the limbs, are the Jewish people. That is the other organs, maybe. Heim b'tzara mepachad adin, and we are really afflicted in pain because we realize that there is a din hanging over our heads. The inun evare matronisa, these are the limbs that we talked about of the matron. Matronisa shehem ha'evarim shal hashchina, which are the limbs of the Shechina. Shene'emer bar, because it says about the Shechina, Ner Hashem, Nishmas Adam, that Ner in the Nishmas of Adam, Shkinta Kedisha. So he explains, Marplik Midrash. Pirish HaShkinah HaKedusha Shehi Ner Hashem, that the Shkinah Kedusha, which is the light of Hashem. He Nishmas Adam, that Kedusha from the Shekhinah herself, is our Penimius, is the light, is the neshama of a man. Hainu Nishmas Yisrael, when he says of a man, he means the neshama of the Jewish people. The Yisrael chem evarachon, the Jewish people are its limbs. We are the different ways that this Kedusha can go. The Gedin called Yisrael ba'ako, so therefore all of the Jews are in pain. Rosh Hashanah called Yisrael Chaim B'tzara, Mepachad the din, because we know that the din is in front of us. And we take the shofar in order to be aroused, and aroused of looking the shofar to awaken ourselves into this reality. So we do the Tekiah, the Shavarim, and the Truah. We bring up these voices or these sounds. Es HaKola Shal Tekiah Shavarim Truah, the Matuk says, K'dei La'orer, as the Chusa Avos, in order to arouse the mercy of our fathers, that is Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the Batel es Kol HaMaktaragim, in order to nullify all of the accusers and all of their accusations, the Lachamshek Rachamim al Yisrael, and to bring Rachamim on the Jewish people. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this is the Zohar, Parshat Pinchas, on Rosh Hashanah.